Hey guys, James here with Waterford Business Solutions, and today I want to talk about something that I get a lot, and that's about the different subscription levels with QuickBooks and QuickBooks Online. I've talked previously about using an accounting software like QuickBooks and then the differences between desktop and online, but when you finally make the decision, if you make the decision to move to online, then you get a plethora of things that it does, and you get these four options here: Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, and Advanced. And so then it starts to get really confusing. So I like to go through and explain the differences rather than just looking at these kind of check marks here, because it's really not enough here to just look at the check marks here to see what it does. It's better to really look at understanding exactly what this is going to do for you and break it down just a little simpler. So when we start looking at everything here, you've got these four options: Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, and Advanced. And really, Simple Start, this is going to be your bottom line. Normal price on this, when I'm making this video, is $25 per month. And you can get it discounted by 50% for 3 months at a current sale price with QuickBooks. Please keep in mind that all of these prices are subject to change, whether it be the discounts that QuickBooks offers, because they're always changing that up, or whether it be the normal price of the software. The other thing to keep in mind with all this, and I'll go into a little more detail later, is the wholesale billing that you can get on these products, which is a 50% off for the lifetime of the subscription. And I'll go into that a little bit later on. But when we take a look at Simple Start, it really is Simple Start. It's meant to give you the most simple, easiest way to track your income and expenses as a business. And this is really for your small mom and pop shop that really doesn't have much going on. You don't have bills coming in, anything like that. This is literally to go ahead, invoice your customers, accept the payment on those customers, send estimates if you need to send estimates, and also go ahead, track your sales tax, but also track your expenses. This is not going to be to manage your bills or to put in bills, pay bills later. So if you're a company that's really anything larger than a small mom and pop, then this isn't going to work. This also only gives you one user to log in at a time. And so, again, if you're going to have the owner and the office manager or stuff like that, you really need more than this. And for the price increase to go from Simple Start to Essentials, Essentials really makes a lot more sense in the long run than Simple Start does. The other thing to keep in mind here with Simple Start is that it really, again, it's a simple program, and a lot of external apps, especially some that I work with like Housecall Pro, do not integrate well with Simple Start. They will integrate, but they cause a lot of errors and stuff. So it's just best if you are looking to build a robust accounting system, if you're looking to grow your business, if it's not going to be a small mom and pop operation, then really skip over Simple Start and move on to Essentials. So again, just to recap of this is for like a one-man operation or a mom and pop operation that you don't have to worry about your bills, you're not doing purchase orders, anything like that. This is literally just recording in every single expense you have and every single sale that you have. This is basically one step above self-employed, and if you don't have the funds right now to do a better program, rather than doing self-employed, that's where Simple Start comes in. So this is really where you want to look at. Beyond that, we move on up to Essentials. And Essentials, as you'll see here, normal price as of now is $40 per month, or you can get a discounted price. And this 50% for 3 months is a general discount for QuickBooks. Sometimes they run other specials, longer specials. It just really depends on the time of year. But when we move up to Essentials, this is where you start getting into what an accounting system should be, in my opinion. It's going to allow you to manage your bills. So that's going to be entering your bills. It's going to be able to track when you pay them, to create reoccurring payments, anything and everything like that, and to pay multiple bills with one check. Um, it's also going to allow you to create checks in QuickBooks that can be printed directly through the system. So a lot of people like that feature. And even if you're not printing it through the system, it actually records in the system that it's a check rather than just an expense. So that's going to be another big difference between Essentials and Simple Start, is the ability to not just have your bills, but also to have checks recorded in the system. You'll also be able to track time. So even if you're not going to be using QuickBooks for your payroll or something like that, you can be using QuickBooks for time tracking and everything like that, which allows you to track your time for you, your employees, whatever, and either assign it to a job or more specifically, go ahead and go to ADP or go to your payroll provider and say, here are my hours, and it's actually something that makes sense. It's a weekly timesheet that makes sense rather than just pen and paper. Unfortunately, a lot of these old time clock things, they're going out of fashion and really are not as popular anymore. So that's really what's going on here with this track time. The other thing, and the most powerful feature to me, is this multiple users. With this multiple users, you can have up to 3 users. And this up to 3 users is great because a lot of people say, well, that means I can have 3 users logged on at any point in time. Or with Simple Start, one person can be logged on at any single point in time, which is correct and it is the case, to be honest. But with these multiple users, we really want to break it down more than that. And if you're going to have different people logging in, you want them to be a different user. And we want that to be the case purely for the fact of if you have Jane Doe log in and do some changes, but Sally Jane is also using Jane Doe's login and does some changes, but Sally Jane screws some stuff up, you can't pinpoint down who screwed it up through the audit log, which is a great feature. Beyond that, if you have people sharing the same user ID, if Sally Jane for some odd reason leaves the company or is fired or whatever reason she's no longer working for you, or you just don't want her in the books, it's much more difficult to remove her access because at this point you've got to change the password and make sure everyone knows the password change rather than just deleting the user and creating a new user. So that's really kind of the better bet to go, is if you're going to have different people using the system, multiple users is your better bet. So really Essentials is the baseline that I tell most people to use. It's going to give you everything that Simple Start does, but a lot of businesses really want to manage these bills and write checks, and more specifically, this multiple users feature is great to me. The other benefit is, as we start getting into more and more of these apps and everything, Essentials is really where most of them start working best because it's going to provide the best functionality rather than removing some simple features that you really should have. Going up above Essentials, we get into Plus. And Plus is going to be, Essentials is really your full service accounting system. You're going to be able to track all income, track all expenses, do everything that you need to worry about day to day with your accounting. Plus is going to add on some extra features, and that's going to be more users. So if you have 5 people that are going to be using it, that's when we move to Plus. But it's also going to add in project profitability. So there's a new feature that came out, and it's not new per se at this point, but it's newer compared to the rest of QuickBooks Online, but it's the projects feature. And projects in QuickBooks Online allows you to assign all the job costs and all the job expenses to a project along with labor costs, payroll, anything and everything like that to come up with a good idea, if not an exact idea, of how much you spent on that job versus how much you made on that job. So when you start doing that, you are able to, and in a later video I'll kind of show this, you're able to see the exact profit margins in a percentage. This green bar up here is the expenses. This blue bar is, or green bar is your income, the blue bar is your expenses. So it shows you that graphically along with how much money. And then it breaks down everything too, showing you a nice little number here at the end along with that project profitability margin. So that's really a great feature there. As we keep moving beyond that, this is also where you get to the point of being able to track inventory. So for our customers who need to worry about tracking how much they have on hand or stuff like that, you would need to be using Plus, because not everyone needs to worry about tracking inventory. Now, I will say as a caveat to that, QuickBooks Online is a good basic inventory tracker, but it's not an advanced inventory tracker. If you need to track by case numbers or lots or more advanced things rather than just how many bolts you have on hand or stuff like that, then we really want to use an add-on app. But in addition to being able to track inventory, you'd also be able to go ahead and create purchase orders. So for those of y'all that like to create purchase orders to send to your vendors, you're also going to be kind of in this plus range here because you can't create purchase orders in Essentials. So that's going to be the big thing there, is this purchase orders. The kind of caveat to that obviously is the ability to track your inventory, but a lot of times, unless we're doing just really basic inventory tracking, I find that we need to go a little more advanced than QuickBooks inventory tracking and use an add-on application. Now, a big contention point all the time with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop is inventory tracking. QuickBooks Desktop gives you more options, it's a more robust system, and yes, it is, but QuickBooks Online was designed specifically for FIFO inventory, which is first in, first out, which is the most common way to expense and track your inventory, but also more specifically beyond just FIFO inventory. We get into the point of these add-on applications actually make QuickBooks Online a much more advanced system than Desktop's inventory tracking. It's just an add-on application. So do keep that in mind too, as a small little caveat there. The other thing that you don't see here that it does is class tracking and location tracking. And a lot of people always say, unless you're very familiar with QuickBooks or you've been using it a lot, what does that mean? And people use classes and locations for a lot of things, not always for what they're supposed to be used for, but a lot of different things that can be used for. The most common things to really do here is with location tracking. Location tracking is really going to come down to you've got one location in Georgia and one location in Florida and one location in Alabama, and you want to see the sales for those locations and the expenses for those locations to see the profitability. And ultimately, all three of those locations are owned by the same company, have one EIN or federal tax number, but they're three different locations that have varying degrees of profitability. So that's what we would really use location tracking for, is to track those varying degrees of profitability. Beyond that, with your class tracking, it gets a little more hazy there. People use that a lot more liberally than I think should be used, but class tracking really comes down to what is a class within your company or a division within your company. And so that's going to be, for a lot of my contractors, they like to do residential and commercial work. So the residential and commercial work, you're going to have that. You want to track both the income and the expenses, just like the locations, by residential and commercial to see where you're making money, where you're losing money, stuff like that. You can also do it if you've got a landscape company and you want to track your landscaping versus your maintenance versus your versus your irrigation. Sorry. Keep all of those as three different divisions and track the income and expenses all separately. I really like to do that, but do keep in mind that every time you enter an income or every time you enter an expense, then you're going to have to classify that. Otherwise, it goes into uncategorized or unclassified transactions, and it's not really going to help you. So it is more advanced, and I really recommend not to use class or location tracking unless you've gotten the basic hang of QuickBooks Online. Until you get that basic hang, it's going to be more troublesome than it's worth to go ahead and use those class tracking and location tracking. And really with Plus, a lot of it is the same with the project profitability and the tracking inventory. Until you've gotten the hang of QuickBooks Online, you're going to complicate things a lot more by going with Plus than Essentials. So I really recommend starting out with getting a comprehension of it. Once you get that comprehension, then you can upgrade to Plus or start enacting these extra features. Because if you start enacting these from the beginning, you can start screwing things up a lot more than you would really do without complicating it. So just for a quick overcap here, Essentials is going to be your basic accounting system that can do everything. Plus is going to be your basic accounting system that can do everything, plus some features that not everyone needs with that project profitability, the inventory tracking, and that class and location tracking. So that's really the big difference for a lot of people. The other thing that's the big difference is the number of users. Do you need 3 users or do you need 5 users? That's where those really come in and break down. Now, as we go beyond Plus, we really hit Advanced here. And with Advanced, it gets into stuff that most companies are really never going to need to worry about. Advanced is for your medium to large size companies, whereas the rest of this here is meant more for you like your small to getting into medium sized companies. If you really don't have more than 20, 30, 40 employees, Advanced is going to be overkill for you. Now, obviously, some of these features with Advanced are great, but you're going to pay for them. Because if you look right here, Plus is $70 a month, normal price, and then $35 a month with the discount that Intuit's currently offering. When we move out to Advanced, it's $150, so more than twice the cost of Plus. And again, they're great features, but it's so much money that it's almost cost prohibitive unless you are a multi-million dollar a year company. And we'll get into everything here. So when we move up to Advanced, you'll see a lot of things here that kind of change. You have all of this basic stuff here that we had before, so the track inventory, the project profitability, the track time, all of this stuff here. But one big thing that you see changes is up to 25 users. So rather than being limited to 5 users with Plus, you can get up to 25 users. So if you've got a really big accounts receivable or accounts payable department, that's where this is going to come in. If you've got all of your employees that are doing estimates and sending invoices through QuickBooks, that's where this is going to come in. But to be honest, there are add-on applications that provide better functionality than QuickBooks does that allows you to put your accounts receivable in there at a much lower cost with a lot more features that integrate with QuickBooks. So that's my general recommendation here. The other thing that you kind of see here is Smart Reporting powered by Fathom. So this is actually a graphical, it's generally an add-on application that you get with QuickBooks, but they've actually built it directly into QuickBooks to give you graphical displays of a lot of different things with profitability. There's so many different features here, and it's really a neat feature. It's a great feature to look at, and I love showing clients Fathom things and graphs and everything, but it is so expensive to actually get into it, so I generally don't recommend it for my guys that have less than 10 people or 10 employees. So again, great feature, but the price of it is kind of cost prohibitive. Moving on down, you've got accelerated invoicing here, and the accelerated part of this is you can go ahead and create 10, 20, 30 invoices at a time and fast track them and send them to multiple customers. So again, going to this landscaping company example, if you're going and visiting someone's yard and you're going to go ahead and you've got 20 clients on the same monthly service plan, and you just want to invoice them in one fell swoop. This is where this comes in, and it's really nice, really quick. But if you've got an add-on application that's managing your accounts receivable and invoicing your customers, this really isn't going to help you here. Beyond that, you've got more customizable user permissions. So when we set up QuickBooks and everything, we've got user permissions with whether you're an admin or not, whether you've got full access or not, whether you can change company information, stuff like that. With advanced, you can get really nitty-gritty and get them exact information into banking, into expenses, what reports they can access, stuff like that. So when you've got a big company with 25 employees or something like that, you want to be more nitpicky about who can see what, and that's why they gave this feature. But do keep in mind, in our lower versions, we can customize it very well to fit most users' needs. A big thing that a lot of people love here is premium care with priority circle. And if you're from QuickBooks Enterprise, a lot of enterprise customers have this priority circle here, but it's really direct phone support, and it's a priority phone support. So rather than when you call in for that technical support and waiting on hold for 10, 15, 30 minutes, you're almost immediately picked up. And the people that you're working with are generally the same people that accountants are working with. They're better performing agents, they've got a long track record, they've got much more knowledge in how the system works, so they're very knowledgeable and not reading off of a script, and that's awesome, because you really don't want someone reading off of a script. But again, for the cost that you're going to pay for it, as nice as it is, there's other things that you can use that money for that are going to help you out more than this priority circle. One thing that I really love for companies that have a lot of people that they need to train is this self-paced QuickBooks Online training. And that's something that they offer only to your advanced customers to get you trained up on how the system works and everything, which is very nice. And they give you all these values here to make you understand why the cost is there. And it definitely, the system is worth $150. Don't get me wrong. Everything that this does is great, and it's worth $150 a month. But most companies can't afford it, and those that can really need to look at, are we going to use these features, and is it really going to be beneficial to us? One other little thing that you have here is you can manage and pay your bills through here. So rather than just going ahead and managing your bills, you can actually go ahead and pay your bills through QuickBooks. Rather than writing a check, it actually does an ACH transfer to the bank through Bill.com, and that's really a neat option, which again, I love that it's directly integrated. But one thing to keep in mind is we can integrate Bill.com directly into QuickBooks Online and get basically the same functionality, just not directly connected. Now, as we go through here, if you're going to be using QuickBooks Online and you're going to be using Bill.com and you're going to be using Fathom, advanced is the way to go. There's no better way to say it, because Bill.com, you're going to be looking at spending around an additional $30 a month to use. Same thing with Fathom. You're going to be looking at an additional $30 to $40, maybe $50 a month, depending on who you're working with. And again, this all depends on current pricing. It depends on discounts that are out there right now, and also wholesale billing that you're able to go after. And I'm going to get into that in a few minutes for you. But with all of that there, if you're going to be using these features, absolutely go for it. It's a great program. It's a robust program. There's nothing really out there in the cloud computing or cloud accounting area that competes with this right now, which is what's so awesome about it. But I just don't want people who can't afford it wanting to go after these features, because they're not necessary features. And most of your smaller mom and pop, medium size, 10 employees, 15 employees or less companies don't need these features. If you do, go ahead, go for it. but keep in mind that it is $150 a month. And is it really worth that additional $80 a month to be able to use these features here? Which is what I like to get at, and I really like to drive home the value added, where Plus is going to do everything that you need at Plus more generally. Advanced is really getting into these big companies that you're going to be looking at 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 million a year that they're bringing in. Now, once you start getting above that, that's a whole different story, and something that I really don't get into a lot, so I'm not going to cover that. The other thing that I want to hit on real quick is I work a lot with Housecall Pro and add-on field service apps like that. I'm going to speak specifically on Housecall Pro right now. And I mentioned it before with the Simple Start. If you're going to be using Housecall Pro, Simple Start is not going to work. You're going to need to use Essentials Plus or Advanced because Housecall Pro just really doesn't function well with everything. The other thing to keep in mind is with Housecall Pro, and I did this in a little bit in a previous video, they're going to handle all of your accounts receivable. So the number of users that you're going to be looking at really needs to be the number of users that are going to physically be tracking expenses and doing the bank deposits. So generally that's going to be your in-house bookkeeper, your owner, and maybe the office manager, stuff like that. Because the guys in the field, they don't need to worry about having access to QuickBooks. They're going to be putting everything into Housecall Pro, and it's going to move into QuickBooks. So that's really the big thing there. For most of my clients, I recommend between Essentials and Plus here, just for the longevity of everything, because you're going to have all the features that you need at a reasonable cost. Beyond that, the basic breakdown is going to be whether you need just an accounting system for 3 people or whether you need an accounting system for more than 3 people that has some extra features like the inventory tracking, the project profitability, and the class and location tracking that I went over. One other thing that I quickly want to go ahead and hit on real quick is about the wholesale billing that I've mentioned several times. You see this normal price here, $25, $12 a month for 3 months, $40, $20 for 3 months, stuff like that. And a lot of companies out there will give you a discounted QuickBooks subscription, including Intuit, for a short period of time, generally for a period of 3 to 6 months, maybe a year, depending on what specials they're running or stuff like that. But what is a really nice feature, if you work with an online certified pro advisor, online certified pro advisors have access to what is called wholesale billing. That wholesale billing there allows them to pass along, if they want to, a 50% discount to the subscription of Intuit products for the life of the subscription. So that's going to be, if you're using QuickBooks Online for 50 years, you're going to get 50% off for those 50 years. Now, that's in theory what it says. Things may change, but right now it specifically says 50% off for the life of the subscription. So if you ever cancel or something like that, then you're going to lose that 50% off. But while you're using it, that's a great thing because you can be using it for 5-10 years at that 50% off. Now, one thing to keep in mind is QuickBooks could fluctuate prices, but you're always going to have that 50% off. So if Plus goes from $70 a month to $80 a month, then rather than jumping up $80 or an additional $10, you're going to only jump up $5 because it's going to go from $35 a month on wholesale to $40 a month on wholesale. Beyond that, not all pro advisors pass that savings along. So always check with your accountant, bookkeeper, whoever you're working with, if you're working with someone, and say, are you a QuickBooks Online certified pro advisor? If they say yes, ask them if they have access to wholesale billing. If they say yes, beyond that, you want to specifically ask if they pass that savings along to you. Because again, not everyone passes that savings along, and we want you to get that savings, not let them line their pocket with that savings. So that's really the big thing there. And one other quick thing that I want to hit on is these add-on services down here. And that's going to be your payroll and everything that I'm really going to hit right here. So with payroll, you've got two options here, self-service and full-service payroll. When we look at all these plans up here, they do not include payroll. And by payroll, I'm talking about actually running your payroll through QuickBooks, e-filing your taxes, direct depositing into your employees' bank accounts, everything, paying your taxes through ePay, tracking everything there through QuickBooks. And that really comes down to both of these being add-on services. With self-service, you are the one that is physically going to go ahead and e-file everything, and you're going to be the one that physically pays everyone. And that's going to cost $35 a month regularly, plus $4 an employee per month. With the discount QuickBooks is currently offering, it comes down to $17 a month. That's going to be the exact same thing that you get with the wholesale discount, is it's going to go down to $17 a month for the life of the subscription, plus $4 an employee. So this $4 an employee stays constant until you go above 10 employees. Once you go above 10 employees, then that drops off. Beyond that, when we go over here to full service is kind of exactly what it sounds like. You're going to handle actually paying your employees, but QuickBooks is going to handle filing the taxes, paying the taxes, making sure that there's an accuracy guarantee so that if anything is misfiled or anything is filed late, that's on QuickBooks and they'll pay you back for it. And that's really a neat program if you're doing this yourself. Now this is $80 a month plus $4 an employee, or $40 a month with the short-term or wholesale discount. So there is a lot more money there, and do keep in mind that this is $35 on top of the $70 for plus. So if you've got easy numbers, we're going to say a 10 employee company. So we've got 10 employees times $4 a month, so that's $40 plus $35 a month on payroll. So that's $75 right there, plus an additional $70 here. So you're going to be paying $145 for both your accounting software and payroll software. So that's really the rundown of how everything works, what levels there are, the subscriptions, everything like that. And I know that was long, but it's really, there's so many different features that we want you to understand and that I want you to understand so that you're making the right decision. As always, if y'all have questions, if you have concerns, anything like that, please reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me an email. You can always reach us through info@waterfordbusiness.com or give us a call at 229-584-8793. Thank y'all so much, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your day.